Now, teachers are warning that the UK is suffering from a child poverty crisis, with an increasing number of pupils arriving at school without clean clothes and showing signs of malnourishment. Well, the situation has become so desperate in some areas that children are spotted filling their pockets with food from school dinners to take home with them. The Shadow Education Secretary, Rayner, is in central London for us. We can speak to her now. Very good evening to you. These reports from teachers that some children have greyish skin, poor teeth, they're malnourished. How is this possible in 21st century Britain?
Well, it's absolutely devastating and damaging report from the Child Action Poverty Group that says 87% of their respondents, who obviously look after our children at schools, have said that children are facing dire consequences, that it's affecting their standard of education and their ability to learn in the classroom. When you've got children filling their pockets with food because they're not able to be fed by their working families, and I must stress that most of these children are in working families, it's a devastating indictment on this government.
You say it's an indictment on the government, but of course there's a Labour government in Wales and it seems that there's a similar situation there.
Well, the problem is Wales' budget is controlled by central government, and Wales and Scotland have faced budget cuts because the government are prioritising tax cuts to those at the top of the scale instead of actually supporting our children in the classroom. The Labour government at the Labour Party at the general election said that we would give free school meals to all primary school children, and we pay for that by ending the tax giveaway to private schools. I think that's the right priority, and when we've got children having to steal food to learn in our classrooms, then we know that things have got really bad. And the government still haven't appointed the chair of their Social Mobility Commission 4 months down the line, which tells you a lot about where their priorities are at the moment.
I'm looking at the list here. The government's saying that it's invested £2.5 billion in breakfast clubs. They've got a social mobility plan. What more can they do to improve the situation?
Well, the government at the last election was called out, in fact, in terms of they was trying to steal school meals from children. And only the other week we had a vote in Parliament where 1 million children who would have been entitled to free school meals, who are on low income, in low-income families, the government changed the rules so that those that would be in receipt of universal credit will no longer be eligible for free school meals. So the government decisions they're making currently is plunging more and more children into poverty, which is a sad indictment for us all, because all children need to do well if the British economy and the British future is going to do well.
What would you say is the advice? Because, of course, parents sending their children to school, they've got, the school lunches, they've got uniforms. What kind of tips can parents take from you to try and save some money?
Well, I think the government should step in, and they had a report out in 2013 as part of the coalition that said that all primary school children should be eligible for free school meals. I think they should implement that. Not only will that help hard-working families of this country, but it'll also end the stigma. I was a free school meals recipient, and I remember that stigma, and I remember waiting, just trying to get to my school dinner at lunchtime and, feeling really hungry in the classroom. The government could do that today and could end that poverty for working parents that need that support, and parents that are trying their best all the time. I say to them, keep going, you're doing a tremendous job. I just wish the government would do what Theresa May promised on the steps of Downing Street and support working families across the UK instead of supporting those tax breaks for the rich at the top who don't need that support.
Is there an argument, though, that schools need to do more themselves? So some schools already have things like food banks, they've got, second-hand uniform shops. Should that be kind of rolled out to more schools to try and help parents who are struggling?
You see, one of the things that we've heard at the National Education Union conference this weekend is that more and more teachers and head teachers are actually washing school uniforms in the school, providing school dinners and supporting parents to help children who are in these situations at the moment. And more children are being put on at-risk registers as well, when really it's about making sure that working families and parents have the support to raise their own children. I was one of those children that needed that support, and I can thank the taxpayers of yesterday that supported me when I needed it, and I think the government needs to do that now, because when you give families that support when they need it, you'll find that those children grow up into being great assets to the British economy in the future. It's not their fault. They didn't ask to be born. They need the support of all of our community.
OK, Rayner in central London, thank you.